Hi there, welcome to Colin's Reading Aloud Project Part 131, another 600 or so words today. Starting now. Inferable, inferably, infer, inference, inferences, inferencing, inferencings, inferential, inferentially, inferior, inferable, inferior, inferiorities, inferiority, inferiorly, inferiors, infernal, infernalities, infernality, infernally, inferno, infernos, inferable, inferred, inferrer, inferers, inferable, inferring, infers, infertile, infertilely, infertilities, infertility, infest, infestant, infestants, infestation, infestations, infested, infestor, infestors, infesting, infests, infudation, infudations, infibulate, infibulated, infibulates, infibulating, infibulation, infibulations, inficete, infidel, infidelic, infidelities, infidelity, infidels, infield, infielder, infielders, infields, infieldsman, infieldsmen, infight, infiter, infighters, infighting, infightings, infights, infill, infilled, infilling, infillings, infills, infiltrate, infiltrated, infiltrates, infiltrating, infiltration, infiltrations, infiltrative, infiltrator, infiltrators, infimer, infima, infimum, infimums, infinitant, infinitary, infinitate, infinitated, infinitates, infinitating, infinite, infinitely, infiniteness, infinitenesses, infinites, infinitesimal, infinitesimally, infinitesimals, infinities, infinitival, infinitively, infinitive, infinitively, infinitives, infinitude, infinitudes, infinity, infirm, infirmera, infirmeras, infirmarian, infirmarians, infirmaries, infirmary, infirmed, infirmer, infirmist, infirming, infirmities, infirmity, infirmly, infirmness, infirmnesses, infirms, infix, infixation, infixations, infixed, infixes, infixing, infiction, infictions, inflammable, inflamed, inflamer, inflamers, inflames, inflaming, inflamingly, inflammability, inflammable, inflammableness, inflammables, inflammably, inflammation, inflammations, inflammatorily, inflammatory, inflatable, inflatables, inflate, inflated, inflatedly, inflatedness, inflatednesses, inflator, inflaters, inflates, inflating, inflatingly, inflation, inflationary, inflationism, inflationisms, inflationist, inflationists, inflations, inflative, inflator, inflators, inflatus, inflatuses, inflect, inflectable, inflected, inflectedness, inflectednesses, inflecting, inflection, inflectional, inflectionally, inflectionless, inflections, inflective, inflector, inflectors, inflects, inflexed, inflexibilities, inflexibility, inflexible, inflexibleness, inflexible, inflexibly, inflection, inflectional, inflectionally, inflectionless, inflections, inflexure, inflexiors, inflict, inflictable, inflicted, inflictor, inflictors, inflicting, infliction, inflictions, inflictive, inflictor, inflictors, inflicts, inflight, inflorescence, inflorescences, inflorescent, inflow, inflowing, inflowings, inflows, influence, influenceable, influenced, influencer, influencers, influences, influencing, influent, influential, influentially, influentials, influence, influenza, influenzal, influenzas, influx, influxes, influxion, influxions, info, infobarn, infobarns, infold, infolded, infolder, infolders, infolding, infoldings, infoldment, infoldments, infolds, infomania, infomanias, infomercial, infomercials, infoprenarial, enforce, enforced, enforces, enforcing, inform, informable, informal, informalities, informality, informally, informant, informants, informatician, informaticians, informatics, information, informational, informationally, informations, informatization, informatize, informatized, informatizes, informatizing, informative, informatively, informativeness, informatization, informatize, informatized, informatizes, informatizing, informatorily, informatory, informed, informedly, informer, informers, informable, informing, informingly, informs, infortune, infortunes, infos, infosphere, infospheres, infotainment, infotainments, infotech, infotechs, infort, infra, infracostal, infract, infracted, infracting, infraction, infractions, infractor, infractors, infracts, infragrant, infrahuman, infrahumans, infralapsarian, infralapsarians, inframaxillary, infrangibility, infrangible, infrangibleness, infrangibly, infraorbital, infraposed, infraposition, infrapositions, infrared, infrareds, infrasonic, infrasound, infrasounds, infraspecific, infrastructural, infrastructure, infrastructures, infrequence, infrequencies, infrequencies, infrequency, infrequent, infrequently, infringe, infringed, infringement, infringements, infringer, infringers, infringes, infringing, infructuous, infructuously, infrugal, infular, infuli, infundibular, infundibular, infundibulate, infundibuliform, infundibulum, infuriate, infuriated, infuriately, infuriates, infuriating, infuriatingly, infuriation, infuriations, infuscate, infuscated, infuse, infused, infuser, infusers, infuses, infusibilities, infusibility, infusible, infusibleness, infusiblenesses, infusing, infusion, infusionism, infusionisms, infusionist, infusionists, infusions, infusive, infusoria, infusorial, infusorian, infusorians, infusories, infusory, ingan, ingans, ingate, ingates, ingather, ingathered, ingatherer, ingatherers, ingathering, ingatherings, ingathers, ingeminate, ingeminated, ingeminates, ingeminating, ingemination, ingeminations, ingena, ingenerate, ingenerated, ingenerates, ingenerating, ingeneration, ingenerations, ingenas, ingenious, ingeniously, ingeniousness, ingeniousnesses, ingenium, ingeniums, ingenue, ingenue, ingenues, ingenuities, ingenuity, ingenuous, ingenuously, ingenuousness, ingenuousnesses, ingenues, ingest, ingester, ingested, ingestible, ingesting, ingestion, ingestions, ingestive, ingests, engine, engines, ingle, inglenuke, inglenukes, inglenook, inglenooks, ingles, inglobe, inglobed, inglobes, inglobing, inglorious, ingloriously, ingloriousness, ingluvial, ingluvies, ingo, ingos, ingoing, ingoings, ingot, ingotted, ingotting, ingots, ingraft, ingraftation, ingraftations, ingrafted, ingrafting, engraftment, engraftments, ingrafts, ingrain, ingrained, ingrainedly, ingrainedness, ingrainednesses, ingrainer, ingrainers, ingraining, ingrains, ingram, ingrams, ingrate, ingrateful, ingrately, ingrates, ingratiate, ingratiated, ingratiates, ingratiating, ingratiatingly, ingratiation, ingratiations, ingratiatory, ingratitude, ingratitudes, ingravescence, ingravescences, ingravescent, ingredient, ingredients, ingress, ingresses, ingression, ingressions, ingressive, ingressiveness, ingressives, ingroove, ingrooved, ingrooves, ingrooving, engross, engrossed, engrosses, engrossing, inground, ingrounded, ingrounding, ingrounds, ingroup, ingroups, ingrowing, ingrown, ingrownness, ingrownnesses, ingrowth, ingrowths, ingrum, ingrums, ings, inguinal, engulf, engulfed, engulfing, engulfment, engulfments, engulfs, engulf, engulfed, engulfing, engulfs, ingurgitate, ingurgitated, ingurgitates, ingurgitating, ingurgitation, ingurgitations, inhabit, inhabitability, inhabitable, inhabitants, inhabitances, inhabitancies, inhabitancy, inhabitant, inhabitants, inhabitation, inhabitations, inhabited, inhabiter, inhabiters, inhabiting, inhabitiveness, inhabitor, inhabitors, inhabitress, inhabitresses, inhabits, inhalable, inhalant, inhalants, inhalation, inhalational, inhalations, inhalator, inhalatorium, inhalatoriums, inhalators, inhale, inhaled, inhaler, inhalers, inhales, inhaling, inharmonic, inharmonical, inharmonicities, inharmonicity, inharmonies, inharmonious, inharmoniously, inharmony, inhall, inhauler, inhaulers, inhauls, inhorsed, inhorsted, inhorsting, inhorse, inhorsts, inhearse, inhearsed, inhearses, inhearsing, inhearse, inhearsed, inhearses, inhearsing, inhere, inhered, inherence, inherences, inherencies, inherency, inherent, inherently, inheres, inhering, inherit, inheritability, inheritable, inheritableness, inheritably, inheritance, inheritances, inherited, inheriting, inheritor, inheritors, inheritress, inheritresses, inheritrices, inheritrix, inheritrixes, inherits, inhesion, inhesions, inhibin, inhibins, inhibit, inhibitable, inhibited, inhibitedly, inhibitor, inhibitors, inhibiting, inhibition, inhibitions, inhibitive, inhibitor, inhibitors, inhibitory, inhibits, inholder. And that's the 600 or so that I wanted to do today, so I'll stop there and see you tomorrow.